All right, good morning. It is Tuesday, July 25th. We got some big tech earnings coming out today. I want to start taking a look at the daily chart. I'm going to clear off my previous drawings here. I want to look at where we are. So we did break above, that was Friday's range within that candle. But we are still kind of in this consolidation area where we've had this long run up. We kind of peaked, pulled back, and now we're bouncing around in this area. First couple things I'm going to mark here, the first couple levels are for the high and low of yesterday's session. I might dial those in a little bit more on the hourly chart just to get that a little bit more accurate. But those are the first two levels I want to look at. I typically do mark them as green and red. Green for the high of the day, green or red for the low of the day. And in doing so, it gives me just a clear reminder when I'm trading, when I'm looking at a chart on, say, a smaller time frame like the 5-minute. This gives me the ability to understand, have we broken out of the range of yesterday's trading day yet? Or are we going to remain in that range and kind of chop around? So the past 2 days or 2 trading sessions, Friday and today, have been a bit choppy. And that is because we've, for the most part, remained in the range of the previous trading day's candle. Another thing that I noticed, having marked that high of day at 455 almost exactly, you can see that was pretty much the high of day of last Thursday. It's also looking like a bit of a support for the body of Wednesday's candle, and then almost the high of day for Tuesday. So that 455, I'm really looking for that. That's a key level if we want to break to the upside. As you see, we've kind of failed to do so a number of times now in the past week. Some other areas that I'll be looking for are probably going to be found on the hourly chart here. I'm just going to dive into it. Excuse me. So yeah, you can see the importance of that 455 level here. You know, almost touched it, came down, broke above it. It was support, came down, rejected off it, came up, didn't quite reach it, but rejected. Came up, reached it, rejected, reached it, and pre-market is rejected currently. So we have that 455 is obviously a key level. We also have this area kind of above it between 455.10, 455.20. So just within that range, I want to be aware that there is a bit of a range. It's never an exact line that we're looking at in terms of support and resistance, but you can also see it lines up with some aftermarket activity all the way back in last Wednesday. So we are seeing some rejections up at this point, and we have officially, in the past couple days, been trading in this range right here. Right in here. So you can see rejected off that. What's that? 452 on the dot. So I had that marked yesterday as well. That 452 is also kind of a key player. So we've been in this $3 range between 455, 452. It's kind of bouncing around. Whichever way we break in this scenario, whether we break below 452 or break above 455, I believe we'll see some continuation in that direction. Is key to note as well that we have this most recent high here at 456.43 from Wednesday's session. And also just that 456 level, if you look at that, we never were able to really close above that. So that seems like a pretty key area if we are going to the upside. However, in the pre-market, we have come up to this 455, 455.2 area and rejected pretty heavily. So we're below 452 currently at the moment. I do want to mark this area as it was 454, if we dive into, say, the 5-minute time frame here, you see that once we broke above 454, it was support a bit loose. You know, we have about a 20-cent range there in terms of this area of confluence where we had some rejection, some support, some bounces. But well, I'm gonna pull back to the 1-hour chart. We got about 4.5 minutes here before the market opens, so I'm gonna continue to look at some areas. This was an area that I marked for yesterday that I was really watching for a rejection, and it happened to play out quite nicely. Is this 54.5 area? As you can see, we've had some resistance, some support, quite a bit of confluence around this area, and we rejected pretty much right off the top there from yesterday's session. So for me, what I'm looking for is if we break above 455, definitely looking for continuation upwards. Otherwise, I'm really looking at this 454. I believe if we break below this, we could see a fall all the way down to 453 or potentially this 452-ish area that I was looking for yesterday when we broke down. Looks like we almost have a little bit of a double top here where we reach this point in the kind of closing hours of yesterday's session, touched it again, rejected again in the pre-market today. We've fallen down. So with us opening in this $1 range here between 454 and 455, I'm looking for a break of one of these areas, break and retest, and hopefully get some continuation in whichever way we break out of. With that being said, do I have any indication of if we do break lower where we might go? If we break up, I'm targeting this previous high. If we break low, this is an ultimate goal in terms of reaching the low of yesterday. And I'm looking at this and I'm wondering if I marked that low of day incorrectly. I don't know how that got so far off here, but the low of day is right there. It's a bit of an oddity. I'm not sure how I got so far off on that, but I would look for this area in here, kind of pre-market high from yesterday's session, acted as resistance a little bit, acted as support at this 453.43. It looks like we are opening, coming down below the 454 zone that I was watching. As we continue to kind of sell off in this pre-market. So I'd be curious to see. We open in a little over a minute, so if we continue the selling pressure, I'll be watching for a retest of this 454 potentially, if we do end up opening below it, and based on how we react up in this level, might be looking for a potential short opportunity in hopes that we continue down. So with about a minute left, I'm gonna switch my charts, get over into Trading View, adjust some of this. I realize I have these levels marked like every, I don't know, almost like every 50 cents. So we'll see. I might have a little bit more like granularity there than I'd actually like to pay attention to. Ideally, I just have some more kind of key levels that I'm watching. That's what I'm looking for. We got the market open Looks like we're coming up and kind of retesting that 454 area. Get 454. Let's potentially and look to take on this retest with a very tight stop loss, and we'll see if we can't play around with some of that. So I got in here. I'm gonna place my stop loss just a few above. It is a little riskier taking the trade right off the open, and with us opening so close to 454, I don't necessarily love that. So I am looking to play this pretty safe with a tight stop loss. If we do reject as I'm hoping, then we won't have a huge run up prior. So having a tight stop loss shouldn't affect me. But we are bouncing around here a little bit. I think we opened a little too close to that 454. I wanted to see us kind of pull back up to it and retest it. I still think that level is very valid, as you can see. It is a strong level of once resistance, now support. So, or sorry, once resistance, then support, now resistance again. So I do like this area for potential rejection, especially as we've been kind of downtrending, coming up and retesting that. My only concern is that we opened very, very close to that level. So there's not much room to work with. So as we're bouncing around here, it's not unlikely that it will kind of backfire here and potentially stop me out as we're kind of bouncing around this opening level. So it'll probably happen here. Got stopped out. So that was probably a bit more of a risky trade. I think that was probably not my greatest decision to take that right off the open with this opening so close to it. But I set that set the tight stop loss. I don't know why I had trouble saying that. I set the tight stop loss. And I'm down $6 on the day, which is pretty minimal. I'm okay with that. Ideally, I would have just waited for this. I would have had a little bit more patience here in this opening trade, and probably not entered just quite yet. However, we'll wait and see how things play out. We have a lot of earnings coming out today. We also have FOMC and the interest rate decision coming out tomorrow. So I kind of expect a bit of volatility, a bit of chop, potentially some low volume heading into tomorrow, just as people are kind of waiting to see what that decision, what the outcome is, where we go from there. So tomorrow is going to be a big volatility day, in whichever way we move, whether it's up or down. So that's one to watch. I think yesterday was a bit choppy. Today could be similar for those same reasons. I'm gonna throw on a little bit of lo-fi. right, so we officially, opening candle, broke above 454. Curious to see if we come down and retest. If you look at the hourly chart, so far this is looking pretty bullish with the long tail wick kind of pulling up above support. So no plays at the current moment. We'll see. I might look for another rejection up at 455. That's more of a trade that I'd like to take as terms of like rejecting, pulling back, coming up and retesting. So we'll see. It looks like we're only about 50 cents off, so we could probably see that before too long. And if we break above 455, I'm looking for continuation. So if we break above, I want to see a strong break above. And then I want to see a pullback into that area. And that would be pretty convincing in terms of taking a bounce from there. I'm wondering, I may have done same day expiration. It looks like I did. So that was a mistake. I didn't want to do a same day expiration. I want to look at 1 day out. And the option premiums are pretty high. I mean, for 1 day out, they're kind of pricey. So we do have some economic data coming out today at 10 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. my time, and that is consumer confidence. Not too sure how much that will sway SPY, but we may see some volatility around 8 a.m. related to that event. So I know Google has earnings today. I'm not sure if they've already come out. It looks like it's kind of flat, if not moving down a little bit. So I've got about 30 seconds left in this candle here. It doesn't seem like the buying is too strong. I'm not sure we'll reach this 455 area, but I'd really like to see us come and test this and reject. Just if we are showing some kind of weakness to the upside, it would be nice to see us, you know, test this area that we've tested so many times before. That'd be a pretty nice setup to test that and then come back down. Not sure we'll get it. But currently I'm just kind of sitting on my hands. I don't have a play drawn up for what's going on just quite yet. We'll see. We'll see how things start to act. See if we can form a trend, show strength in one direction or another. There is potential to look for a bounce off this 454. You know, we held strong support in this area yesterday. We've already kind of like opened slightly below and reclaimed that level in the morning. So there is a potential trade option for looking for a pullback and a bounce off this if we do pull back to 454. So we'll see. It looks like a lot of the market's green. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start to push up here. To set a new high here, we have this high off that wake about 454.53. We're approaching it on the current candle, but have yet to kind of break above. We're showing some really kind of weak price action, which is making me think that we are going to see kind of lower volume, more choppy, less favorable conditions to trade as we lead into the FOMC tomorrow. So if nothing really presents itself, I'm not going to take any trades. I wanted to get that rejection off 454 if we open below it, but we opened kind of right at that level, so that was a bit riskier. I still went in on it with a tight stop loss, but that wasn't the greatest trade. If we're having price action like this, you can just get chopped around in a premium. Yeah, you don't want to hold on for 30 minutes of 20-cent wiggle, you know. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get some sort of trend or any sort of price action. But so far, it's been a little bit of a dull opening to the day, and I'm guessing that's just anticipation of tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the big volatility day for sure. Also, we do have data dropping in 17 minutes. So like I said, not sure how much that will affect SPY. But it could potentially have some effect. We'll see. So we might get a little bit more volatility in 15 minutes or so. Oh, I realized I was in the wrong account. That's a bummer. I didn't mean to do that. So we did set a new high there. So we are pushing higher. We might get that 455 level. So this this push up that we're on, volume's dropping pretty rapidly. Still pretty early into this candle. We still have 3 minutes or so. So maybe a little too early to judge the volume of this particular candle, but volume has dropped significantly as opposed to some of the prior days that we were seeing. So. If we do continue to kind of have this like weak, steady push up on lower volume, we approach this level, I am going to look for puts and look for rejection. I'd be surprised to see us break this strong resistance slash like supply area on kind of weak action and weak volume. So I'd also give it a little bit of wiggle room since we do have that high of day, or that pre-market high at 555.2, kind of right in here. So it's not a firm line, more of a little bit of a zone. Give it some wiggle room up there. But based on what I'm seeing, I would be surprised if we just grind it up in this manner. It seems to be kind of like a slow and steady, low volume, just push up. So we did get a little bit higher volume on this candle. So we are showing a little bit more strength than initially. About 40 seconds left, so still got another 30 cents or so. There we go, we're pushing up. Still got a little bit higher to climb before we get into this area that I'm looking for. So a little bit of indecision here. We're kind of just going absolutely nowhere. Wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a pullback. Hopefully we don't pull back too hard. Ideally, we push up to this point and reject from there. That would be ideal. Seeing a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of consolidation before we move up further would not surprise me at all. We have some volume coming in for sure. It appears kind of both on selling and buying side as we see it coming in, as we start to come down a little bit. Definitely some selling happening. Which does make me feel good if we reach this area up here. It lets me know that there are sellers in this area as we have some selling volume coming in as we just get kind of close to it. I think if we do push up and hit this area that we've rejected off so many times before, I like that for a trade plan in terms of looking for a rejection up there. So hopefully we don't sell off too early and we actually get to reach that point. So yeah, a lot of volume coming in there. We still have, over 3 minutes left in this candle, and we've almost matched the volume for these previous three. So there's sellers up here. Hopefully they chill out. Let the price reach that 455 so I can catch that sweet reject. We'll see if that happens. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a Tuesday. It kind of feels like a Wednesday. I feel like I've been getting my days mixed up lately. But it most certainly is a Tuesday. We're here. Lucky to trade the market as we get the opportunity to do so. You see some buyers coming in. I would like to see us reach this area. I've said it. I'm a broken record. I'll keep repeating it. I would like to see us come up here for the reject down. I'd be targeting kind of that 454 area if we did reject. As you see just on that one candle there, about 20-30 cent move, we got almost like a $20 move in premium. So these 454 puts, if we do come down from 455 to 454, those are going to move beautifully. Yeah, that'd be a wonderful move. So hopefully we get it. We are showing some buying strength, some volume coming in. That candle's getting pushed up. Looks like we're not ready to sell off quite yet, so we might just get that retest that I'm looking for. And shoot, if we continue this, if we break above and we just keep trudging upwards, then I'll reverse my bias or my thesis and look for continuation. I don't want to have a strong bias, but based on just this, I mean, look at this, it's gorgeous. If you look at this hourly chart, like how many times we've come up to this level and rejected, that's a pretty good indicator of some serious selling, some serious supply up in this area. So I'd love to see it play out. Doesn't mean we can't bust above it like we did last week and continue upwards. But that's why you take a calculated risk. just thinking about what I said there in terms of like it could bust above. If we look, you know, like it's a probability game. I got to pay attention to this so I don't miss the move. But if you try 1, 2, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, and 1 out of those 7 you actually break above, the other 6 you reject. That's just a probability, you know, and you're basically saying, what do I want to bet on? That it rejects up in this area, or that we're going to continue, you know, pushing through. So kind of the approach that I have to that. So we do have a new high on this candle. We are pushing up. We're still a little bit short of where I want to see. There we go. I am going to look at getting in here. And I'll probably add another in this area as well. I'd like to trade this with 2 contracts. So I'll see if we push up a little higher, if I can't get a better fill and kind of lower my average entry here. So I'm going to take 1 up in here. All right. I'm going to set my stop loss. What's my entry? 154. I'll set my stop loss at like 145. So you can see some volumes coming in. We're getting kind of pushed down below that level. So it's moving in the right direction so far. I would not be surprised to see us kind of continuously push up and play around in this area before we get any sort of move one way or another. So still kind of just watching, seeing what's going to happen here. So far, so good in terms of the price reacting as I would hope it. I mean, we got up in there. What's up, C-Buff? So I'll show you in a second. I'm kind of paying attention to this. But profit and loss, you should have a little tab down here called position. So right now I'm in profit $22, and you'll see that update as these contracts move around. And this is showing my open profit and loss. So there just went up 24. So that's where you can see it on the trade tab, is down here, position. If you don't see it, there's probably a little arrow. You can click it and pop it up. Another way you can see it is if you go to monitor, and then you can see your open positions here. So on the monitor tab, you can see on the trade tab, there's a position down here. So hopefully that helps you out. Of course. Thanks for stopping in. I'm gonna turn this music down a little bit. So we're kind of chopping around up in here. I would really like to see us kind of break below this area that we bounced before to feel confident in this. The more that we kind of reject and bounce up from here makes me a little nervous. But I don't expect like an immediate move. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see us bounce around up here before we move one way or another. I appreciate that. Yeah. I started out, I tried some paper trading on Thinkorswim. My only complaint was it seemed like it was a bit like slow. It didn't seem as responsive. Still a good way to kind of practice entering and exiting trades. But another way is if you just start out with a small amount of money, $500 or so, and just trade one contract at a time. Because paper trading is great, gives you some exposure, but it also is hard to mimic kind of the emotions that you get when you're trading with your own money. So definitely try out paper trading. And by no means I'm not a master. I'm still very much so, learning and practicing myself. So I only trade with one or two contracts at a time. I have a pretty small account. I'm just trying to learn and kind of analyze my own process as much as I can. So, yeah, I appreciate you stopping in. I hope you do learn some things. Yeah, I wish you the best of luck. So we do have a pretty low volume candle here. I'm gonna let it play out and see what happens, but ideally I want to see a little bit more momentum to the downside if I'm holding this position. Kind of the fact that we keep bouncing around in this area is a little concerning. I'd really like to see us break below that 454.63, kind of where we've found support before. No real cause for concern yet, as we haven't shown any attempt to really break higher, but not a lot of momentum to the downside either. So kind of in this area of indecision almost. A low volume candle, so volume just represents the amount of buying and selling in whatever time frame you're in. So these are 5-minute candles. So this volume bar down here, and they're kind of hard to separate. It just represents the amount of buying and selling of this stock within this 5-minute period. So the reason I mentioned low volume or high volume is if a stock is moving up and you see really high volume accompanying that move, that kind of tells you that there's a lot of people buying and pushing that price up. If you see movement on a low volume candle, that typically just means that there's not a lot of people participating in whatever the move is. So generally, you want to see higher volume in the direction that you're trading, because that would indicate that there's more people on your side. Essentially, there's more pressure to continue that move. Rather than if it's low volume, then that means there's not enough fight. If a bunch of buyers step in, they can overwhelm that selling and move in the opposite direction. So we're kind of retesting this area down here. Like I said, still kind of failing to break below. think what I may do is move my stop to break even. Oops. So I'm setting my stop at break even now. We do have a bit of wiggle room. It would have to come up quite a bit to stop me out. But this just gives me a little bit of safety, so it's not going to give me a loss. So here we see a little bit of a break to the downside. If we can clear this 454.5 area that we've kind of rejected and then bounced off twice now, that would be great. In an ideal world, I take this trade all the way down to 454. So here we go. There's some selling coming in. There's some selling coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sell one here. That's not going to let me because I have my stop. So I'm going to take one off the table. Move my stop up a bit on my other to say like 155 or so. I'm going to try to let this play out and see if we can't ride it down to 454. So a little concerning seeing this bounce off this area that we've kind of found support before. Kind of showing some weakness on the selling in terms of not being able to break below that. But that could change. We still have about a minute left in this candle, so hopefully we close strong and continue down. So looking at the close of this candle, you see volume kind of shot up at the end. That was some buyers stepping in. As you see, the price action kind of confirmed that. I wouldn't be surprised if we came up and retested this area before we did anything else. And if we do come up and retest this area, that might stop me out of my second contract. So it looks like we're coming up. So it looks like we might push up, retest this area. If so, it will likely stop me out. Price action's pretty slow. I mean, not a lot of movement in these candles, so got a bit of an initial rejection down to that 454.5 area, but not showing a lot of strength to the downside really. So I think today is just going to be a bit more of a choppy day here, kind of a slow grinding, you know, smaller candles, not really a lot of like momentum or big moves. We'll see. I'd like to see us potentially continue down, obviously, as I'm in this position, but just trying to be patient and let this play out. I took one contract off the table. I have my stop loss slightly in profit for the other, but trying to give myself enough room to let this play out a little bit. So we're getting close here. Probably gonna stop me out any moment right there. No? There we go. Unless we unless we immediately reject, which somehow I did not get stopped out on that, but any second now I should. Yeah, C-Buff. Yesterday was a lot of kind of horizontal, like you said, consolidation, a lot of chop. I'm expecting that to be because we have the FOMC meeting tomorrow. We have the interest rate decision tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be a day of a lot of volatility. I think typically leading up to those days, you see a little bit lower volume, a little bit more chop, because people are kind of waiting to see the decision made tomorrow before they make any big bets. So I kind of expected Monday and today to be a little bit choppier due to that. But yeah, definitely. So there, I got stopped out on my last contract. We were kind of just dancing around up there. As we come up to retest this area, still early in the candle, but pretty low volume. So we could see kind of a retest and then a sell-off. I wouldn't be surprised to see us touch this area a few times before making any sort of move. So you can see we're having some selling coming off that level again. I'm not sure if I would re-enter the trade at the moment though, because we didn't show a lot of strength to the downside either. So, and here it is. It came up just to stop me out before making this move. And sometimes that happens, but I mean, taking puts up here is kind of counter to the trend. We have been setting highs, higher lows, so we haven't really broken that low here that we were retesting and changed trend. So as we kind of show some strength, not really looking to re-enter puts at that position. It could work, but with me already being up a little bit on the day, not necessarily looking to risk it with kind of the strength that we've shown, failing to break lower there. Yeah, and like you're saying, on these days where we do have kind of just like horizontal, more choppy days, you can still trade them. You know, they still respect areas of supply and demand to some extent. It just seems like the moves are a little bit shorter. So taking profit and not trying to hold on for some big move that may reverse on you is what I've kind of tried to do. If we're in a clear trending day, trading with the trend and kind of letting that ride. But when we're having kind of these days where we're chopping in a $1 range or something all day, you can try to catch some moves. But I definitely try to take some profits and be cognizant that it might just cut me out. So here we are getting some selling. This is some volume coming in. You see that pushing up. We might get the sell-off that I was looking for here. I'm tempted to take another put up here as we kind of retest this area. I'm a little hesitant though, just because the price action's been kind of really small movements, and you can see like volume compared to previous days, we're pretty low. So generally don't get great moves on low volume days. There's just not a lot of participants to make a big move happen. So while I would typically probably look for a re-entry here, with a tight stop just to protect profits and see if I can't get a little bit more out of it. Just seeing some of this super low volume and I guess back and forth. I mean, we are trending upwards still. We've yet to set a new high from that candle 20 or so minutes ago, but I'm not sure I'll get the move that I'd like out of this session. About 30 seconds left in this current candle. We just keep pressing up against this 455, kind of retesting it over and over. Kind of curious to see where this next candle opens at. If it opens above, we might see a little bit of a continuation upwards. If we open just below, we might see a continuous, like, just retest and maybe a small rejection down. So we opened a little higher. I want to take an entry and just set a tight stop loss. Just see if we can't get a little bit of a pullback. But yeah, we are having some super low volume, so we'll see. This might just kind of chop around forever, and if that's the case, I might just exit and go about my day. But if we could at least get like a bit of a pullback as we saw here, that'd be a decent enough move for me to just take a little bit of profit and move on. CBuff, yeah, so you would do so through TD Ameritrade's website. I think you'd log into your account. You have to apply for like options trading as well. I would probably just Google, because I can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember you do have to do it through their website. Just Google like TD Ameritrade real-time data, and then also look into getting approved for options, because that's a separate step as well to be able to trade options. But yeah, it should just be a quick Google. But yeah, that you have to get approved for those. So we are selling off a little bit here. My entry is pretty bad, so I'm not really in a bunch of profit here to take. I mean, we're getting a pretty minor move. Of course, yeah. I hope that helps. Sorry, I don't have an exact answer for you. I can't remember how exactly to do it, but it is through their website. All right, so we're getting a bit of a move here. I might just take what they're giving me. All right, well, it's about that time, getting around 8:30. I need to transition over to my work. I appreciate anybody who's watching. CBuff, feel free to stop by, ask questions anytime. I'd be happy to answer them if I have the answer for them. I trade live every morning, so feel free to stop by. Wish you luck in setting all that up, and yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll be back later this evening with a recap of some of the trades that I did today, what I was looking for, and why I did what I did. As always, have a good day, and I'll see you tomorrow.